The following is a fan-based discussion. All properties discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Hasbro, and Subaru Productions. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Tokutalk.
Yes.
Marcus and Jacob here
Yes.
to discuss villain face turns throughout Toku.
Yes.
For those unfamiliar with the term, it's a face turn is a wrestling term. Face is a good guy, heel is the bad guy. Whenever you do it, if someone does a face turn in wrestling, it means bad guy is no good guy.
Yeah. So we got a list here.
Mm-hmm.
We also got two who did the opposite.
Yes. We are not going to be discussing every single one that has happened, just some of the ones that have stuck out to us over the years.
Yeah. So like no Aguilar or anything. I want to start off with sort of a popular one, especially around the time that it actually came out. Chase from Kamen Rider Drive.
Mm-hmm.
Although that was a little bit more of a reprogramming. He broke out of his reprogramming and became a Kamen Rider at the end of the day.
Mm.
He became a good guy. You can also sort of count that for Heart post-show, where he got his own form after that train wreck of a non-form. And then that train wreck of a form that he got, which was just a kitbosh of his actual suit. And Dry's final form with a waistcape. But they ended up turning out to be good guys at the end of the day. I think they were well done, especially in Chase's and Heart's case. But I don't think they have as much staying power nowadays. I think a lot more people end up remembering Chase because of the fact that he was there for much longer of the show after being, Chaser in that junkyard form that he had onto his actual rider form. But I do want to talk about three that we, it's been a couple of months now since the show is finished.
Going back to Chase, do you think Chase's was handled well, though? Do you like that one as far as the story goes?
Yes, because it makes sense because of everything that happened with Proto Drive before the show started, where he was that character.
Okay.
And then he got turned bad, and then he broke free of the mind control. So I think it was done fairly well.
Mm. But moving on. Sonoi, Sononi, and Sonoza from Dawn Brothers.
Yes.
I think might be the best example of this.
Honestly, it's probably one of the better ones, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. One got a boyfriend. One got a boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And one ended up becoming the main editor.
Got a student.
Yes, got a student. Ended up becoming an editor and a manager for
Oni's sister.
Yes, for Oni's sister out there. I love their story, especially because of the fact that there was a pretty distinct separation from them as antagonists. They weren't really villains. Them as antagonists to them as people interacting with the team proper, because they didn't know for a good portion, especially when you end up having Sonoi and Momotaro. That whole story and that whole parallel, and them finding out later and them having that whole relationship, which hopefully will end up having a little bit of a turnaround in that next movie that they have coming out soon.
Yeah, as far as the three of them, because we're introduced to Sonoi first.
Yes.
As far as person in suit fighting a monster.
Yeah.
And right away we see that okay, so there is a separation of goals.
Yeah.
They are after the same thing. They're out to fight the monsters, but one of them is willing to kill the hosts. The other one does it in a method that the host survives.
Yeah.
And so right away you have that distinction there. And I look back on Dawn Brothers and I think of so much of that show is out of suit character development.
It is.
I feel like it really is. There are so many episodes where I feel like it's an 80-20 ratio of we are out of suit, we are having a conversation, we are building our characters and getting to know these people, and then 20% of it is rawr, fight the thing.
And even then, there's still character development going on in those suit fights, especially with how Momotaro's doing things with the rest of his team, and how he ends up interacting with Sonoi and what mech fight.
The way his personality enhances whenever he becomes the Don Momotaro personality. And yeah. Good stuff.
What mech fight? We don't do that here.
And if we do, it's not very long.
Yeah.
And then we're back to characters.
But these three is just I love where they're at the end of the show, except for Sonoi, because they just decided to kill him off in Zenkaiger versus Dawn Brothers. because he had to bring back Momotaro's. But we have his Dawn Brothers Returns.
There we go.
So,
but yeah, I love because they're each here to find out a different aspect of humanity. Sononi wants to find out about love. Sonoza wants to find out about emotions. What was it? Sonoi was after. I don't remember off the top of my head. But,
yeah.
But yeah, because they're out there, they're exploring humanity, trying to find different aspects of humanity that they can latch onto and learn more about. And through their interactions with the Dawn Brothers, they're able to come over more to their side, and it's great.
Yeah. It's just I try to see.
It's all right. Anything else we want to talk about them, or
no? They're just great. It's why Dawn Brothers is just like, it's so solid.
Yeah.
And I like King Odra, and I'm just like, but it's not Dawn Brothers.
You compare where they were fighting at the beginning of the show to the end of the show when Momotaro loses his memories.
Yeah.
And Sonoi is just crushed and devastated by seeing him forget who he is, and it's just so well done.
Yeah.
So moving on next was one that you brought up to me.
Yes.
And that's Kiva's brother.
Yes.
From Kamen Rider Kiva.
Yes.
What is it about this one that stood out to you among the rest?
It's not so much what's made it stand out. It's like, I can come up with an example for this from this show specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Because where they started fighting over the girl and then, finally coming together as brothers to beat the previous Zenkaiger king.
Mm-hmm.
That was their whole thing.
Do you think it was well done?
It's done.
That's one way to put it. Was not a fan of Kiva. This one honestly didn't even cross my mind, but we have touched on it, so there.
Sometimes we forget. Another one that we could put on here, but it's also stupid, but he's come sort of back around in the past few years. Decade Secondary Rider.
Oh, D-End.
Yes. Where he was an antagonist.
He went heel to face, depending on what the weather was.
You didn't care about me and stuff. Destroy the world.
Pretty much.
And everybody was like, I guess we're okay with that.
That's the third act of Superhero Tyson 1 in a nutshell.
God, it was awful. It was the stupidest thing. But I bring him up because of the fact that he's sort of always been a thorn in somebody's side somewhere. But he's
usually decades.
But he has come about in a heel face turn, and you see that in Zio when he came back.
Well, there you have it, folks.
Yep.
Who's next?
Shima and Gator from Changeman.
This one's all you.
Yes. Unicron took over everything. So he's just like, you must serve me. And they're like, okay, if we don't, we're destroyed. So we have to do this. And they really did it to Gator because they basically just ended up holding his family hostage.
That old ploy.
But Shima, God, I want to watch Changeman again. I really do.
He was saying off camera, he's like, I think I might want to watch Changeman for a fourth time again. Because it's just that good.
Especially after watching Denziman, it's just like, I think I want to stay in this era for a little bit. I think I want to watch some Changeman. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Shima, especially, it wasn't so much mind control. It's like this is what she was brought up in.
Mm-hmm.
And she had to break free. She had to pull an Ariana Grande. And ended up working with the Changeman at the end of the day to save pretty much the universe from Unicron.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never remember his name. His name is always going to be Unicron.
I just saw Rise of the Beast yesterday, so Unicron is a little fresh in my memory, so... There you have it.
Yeah, she fought with Optimus Primal. And
Yes.
But yeah, Gator and Shima, especially in that show, especially when you compare it to everybody else and on their previous side and what they did, Booba basically, committing seppuku to change Dragon for the most part. Garup just going, I'm going to try and destroy everything. And Ahamez going fucking insane. God, Changeman is so good. What is the next thing we're doing after Denziman? Because if we have enough time, I'm watching Changeman again.
Let's see. After Denziman, it's Ultraman Destined Crossroad, which is a movie. So
no, it's the short.
Well, short things, whatever.
Yeah.
Point is, it's not very long.
I'm going to end up watching Changeman during that time.
There you
I
go.
just really want to.
There you go.
But yeah, on to the next one. Abare Killer. who
the strongest warrior in hell,
had an about face at the end of the show.
at literally the 11th hour, and then he died.
Yeah. He was like, I'll sacrifice myself to save everybody. It's,
I bring him up because do you think his self-sacrifice was well done?
I think they wrote themselves a little bit into a corner and they didn't have enough time to really pull him back to the side of good. I think there were better ways to have done it. Actually, the next character we'll talk about is where his story more or less is coming from.
True.
But yeah, I think Abare is just such a cool character. I just don't think they gave him enough time on the side of the good guys to really explore what that dynamic could have been between him and the rest of the team.
Well said. And the one who inspired him, Dragon Ranger.
Yeah, from Z Ranger.
From Z Ranger. The first official sixth.
He got tricked and told a whole bunch of lies by Bandora and the others. And then his brother broke him out of that. And he's like, all right, I'll fight at you guys' side. Oh, wait, there's a candle.
There's always a candle.
If I leave, I die.
Oops.
And then he kept leaving. And then he kept dying.
And then he actually died.
You gotta get busy living. You gotta get busy dying. And he did both.
Get busy morphing or get busy dying.
Yeah. I do think his story was all done. I think it was actually pretty well crafted. I'm not the biggest fan of just him dying at the end of it.
Yeah.
But especially for your first sixth, I mean, come on. To be fair, next year, let's make him a kid and traumatize him.
Could be better, could be worse.
Could be tough.
Moving on, what are the more middling examples, I think, in terms of this trope? But the Thunder Brothers.
Yes.
From Hurricaneger. Kabuto Rider and Kuwaka Rider.
Once again, more lies. And then they ended up finding out the truth of what happened to their academy. And that's basically what ended up making them leave the bad guys at the end of the day. And not super conforming to the team proper, because they were basically just like, it was Hurricanegers, the Thunder Brothers, Shurikenger. It was really just...
It was three teams coming together, or three entities at least, coming together to fight the bad guys.
Yeah.
Shurikenger is a entity in and of himself, just possessing whoever and wherever he wants.
Yeah. And it worked. It's just one of those things where I'm just like, nah.
It's like, it's not good, it's not great. I don't think this one was as developed as it could be.
No.
I think because they're from rival schools, right?
Yeah.
I think that's an example
that's a great
or some
game.
I don't know that I've ever played it myself, but I know it exists. The rival schools angle is something I wish they maybe could have explored more. Yeah. Maybe that's something that could be done in a future series, but we will see.
Yeah.
One of the better ones, I think, next, Parado from Xade.
Where he
Kamen Rider.
He got humbled. He was like, do you feel that?
That's one way to word it, yeah.
Do you feel that fear? That's what you made everybody else feel. Enjoy that as you die. And then he didn't. Sometimes I go back and watch that scene of just him getting wrecked.
It's a great scene, but I think the best scene is the one of him in the pool.
Yeah.
Where the hand reaches in to pull him out. I think it's still, to this day, one of the best shot scenes in Toku television. It's gorgeously done, it's symbolic, it's beautiful, and I love it. And I think Parado's character was all the better for this.
Yeah, it really was.
Xade was a fantastic show.
Especially as you see him from what he was at the beginning of the show to, being really selfish and really childish, and him having to learn real quick what it means to the people, that you hurt. So I just think it really worked for the show proper. Next one for me. Stacy from Zenkaiger. Who I think was really the way that they, although, Inoue did not watch Zenkaiger at all, as we saw. The way that Stacy was written, I think, really played into how Sonoza and Sononi worked in Dawn Brothers, because Stacy, they had the whole thing. Kaito does not see him really truly as an enemy, but Stacy sees him as one. But we also had everything with Stacy and Kaito's grandmother, him wanting that family.
Yeah.
And
the grandmother in that show was great.
She was great.
I loved her.
She was Yachan was amazing. But yeah, Stacy's interactions with her, really humanized the character and really made him, the further they went along, see the error of his ways, especially when they had that episode where he and Kaito switched bodies. I just think they really did a fantastic job with, especially because they planned on killing the character off.
Oh, did they? I didn't know that.
Like in the first couple episodes.
You may have mentioned it before, but I've forgotten. If I did, I'm sorry.
Like his mech got destroyed, and that was when they had planned on killing them off. And it was like, no, the character's too popular. And usually, sometimes when they end up doing that,
they pulled an Abdul.
They did pull an Abdul.
But they killed him off, but then it was like, no, he's too popular. We got to keep him around.
Then kill him. But in Stacy's case, I think because they sort of did the same thing with Baron. They did Stacy really well for something that was unplanned. They made his character really dynamic, really engaging. And I said this in a review, he's probably the one that you end up following the most out of the show proper. Like, his story is the one that's really the most engaging story in the show. And I love everything they did with Stacy and Zenkaiger. I really wish that the next time they decide it's like, oh, this character is too popular, that they take notes from this. Like, give that character something to really make us not wonder why they're here still. Don't just make them do nothing for 15 episodes. Like, give them a story to follow. And that's why I love Stacy.
There you have it. On to one of the more middling examples, but there is something in this that I think that I do like in terms of the story that I would like to see a little more going forward. That's Candelira and Luck Hero from Kyoryuger.
Yes.
And the the moment really that pins this is when Luck Hero is told by I forget the name of the big boss, but he comes back. He's been resurrected, and he tells Luck Hero that they're no longer needed. You're no longer needed. Get out. Pack your stuff and get out of here. And
get out of my Caucasian house. For those of you Joan the Scammer fans out there.
You gold. Anyway, but I like the storytelling device of a villain that has outlived their usefulness.
Yeah.
And that's what eventually causes them to, because when all the destruction is happening in the finale, the two of them, because Candelira is like, oh no, my poor baby, and she goes with him, or them, I don't know if the character's ever gendered, but she goes with them, and they're off out in the world trying to, bring a little more happiness to and turn things around. And I like that. I like the idea of like, okay, I've outlived my usefulness here. That was what defined me. What do I do next?
And then they go and end up helping out the Rangers. They go down to the underworld and help Silver and the others down there. I
believe their last appearance in the show is them like helping a civilian out. Like
their last appearance actually was the 100 years after, where they ended up becoming the new mentors.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, they ended up becoming the mentors of the Kyoryuger team of that time.
I was thinking about show proper, but
yeah.
There you go. One more I would like to touch on. We don't have him on the list, but General Schwartz.
Oh yeah, he ended up.
I think we need to bring him up.
He never did a full face turn.
True,
but he ended up working more with the Tokucast at the end of the show.
It was an uneasy alliance.
Yeah, to end up saving Greta in the show proper.
Because it was a motivation of, I'm doing this for honor. I'm doing it for the honor of the royal lady, the honor of my beloved, and I really like how it was done.
It was very well done, especially with Greta being a really neutral party and ended up being manipulated by her mother.
Yeah,
throughout the show, I just think they did a really good job with that. It was really, really good.
And it was.
Now, we have two examples on here where there was an about-face turn, and then there was another about-face turn.
It was a reverse oh no.
Let's talk about we're going to talk about Jenga first. Jenga.
Please do.
From Garo.
Garo. How when we later find out throughout the course of Goldstorm that Jenga used to be...
Makai Knight.
He used to be a Makai Knight. His wife was his priestess. And the two of them were, off in the world defeating the horrors and doing what they do best. And then one village got a little too paranoid and wound up sacrificing their child to I think it was a horror or some sort of deity. And they did not take kindly to that. It was like, oh,
Well, time to kill everybody.
Well, time to kill everyone. And they did a full heel turn, just went full evil, and it was great, and it was wonderful, and that show rules, and synonyms to that. And then they're defeated, and then we flash forward several years later, and we have Jinga Fang of God.
Yeah.
And throughout the show, we're noticing things are playing out a little differently to how horrors are normally defeated. Like, it's like, oh, they possess one, but the host is still alive. Jinga has this new power, it seems. Could this be from when he was evil? Has he carried something over that allows him to control and suppress it? Could it be that? Nope. Turns out, at the end of the show, this was all part of someone else's master plan.
The wife.
Yep, and she's back, and getting her husband back, getting him back on the path that they started on. And when you see all the people they've saved turn into horrors and murder their friends, and it truly ends on like the darkest timeline cliffhanger we could possibly end on. And
which is why we need Garo to come back to finish off this story.
Please do. Give me Goldstorm 2, damn it. I want Goldstorm 2 so badly.
We need a finisher to this because what? That ending is still just like... There's another one.
Truly a cliffhanger.
And this one happens in show proper. I'm going to talk about Mr. Radiguet from Jetman.
Okay.
Now, there's one episode. It's after Tranza. Like, Tran ends up becoming Tranza. He ends up becoming, Jin from Die Ranger. And there's that whole scene with him and the girl, and he, sees the Jetman, and his memories comes back because he's human at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would think, the power of love and all of that would keep him safe and keep him on the side of good. Nope. He turns back to Radiguet and kills that girl before going and traumatizing Tranza and putting him in a mental facility. Because fuck you. I was sitting here like, wow, okay. I do love the fact that this is, I think, one of the really early times that trope was used, at least in Toku, that I can personally remember. The fact that Inoue, once again, wrote this, writing Dawn Brothers as well, but he wrote this, and it's a heel turn in the other direction. He turned the trope of love will turn you good on his head and just killed the girl instead.
Nope.
It's so good because it's so unexpected. I remember watching that for the first time. Went, ooh. And she went, eh. So R.I.P. her.
Well, there you have it, folks.
Yeah. Let us know, what are your favorite heel turns in Toku?
Or face turns, if this were in this case.
Yes. Actually, it works both ways.
There you
we
go.
just gave you an example of both.
There you go.
But yeah, let us know what your favorites are in the comments below. Don't forget to join us on all the things, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for watching.